A couple days ago, my wife and I decided to take a trip down memory lane and actually watch Over the Hedge. This is a movie I have not watched since I was a child, and I correctly guessed saying it was from 2006, which is crazy. So I have no idea how these videos are going to do, but today I wanted to sit down and wanted to talk about Over the Hedge, what I liked about it, if there's anything that I didn't like about it, and what I found interesting about it, because again, I basically watched this for the first time because, again, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I remember, like, back in the day, we were in school. I'm almost sure we took a field trip to it because that was a common thing back then. I don't know if that's still a thing kids do. We take field trips over to movie theaters. Regardless, there was a lot of hype when this movie first came out, and it brought back a ton of memories. We're going to talk about that today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. So, our story starts off with a raccoon named RJ trying to just find some food. He stumbles upon a cave trying to steal food from a bear after being quiet and having just the bear wake up to the stupidest thing. The story starts off with the bear waking up, threatening to kill the raccoon, and the raccoon destroyed all of his food because it was in a wagon, rolled down the hill, and the movie takes off by saying, "Hey, I'm going to wake up in a week from hibernation. You better have all of my food back there." Red wagon, and the raccoon was making it worse for himself. The red wagon, I'll make it redder, right? And so he needs to find some food, deliver it back to the bear. Otherwise, the bear is going to actually track him down and kill him. But this movie actually moves pretty quick, and I don't know how long we're going to spend talking about this video because, again, it's shorter than most movies. I remember back in the day when movies were about an hour and a half, regardless. So the next morning, RJ is freaking out. The bear is going to kill him. He keeps dreaming about it, and he runs into these other cute little animals waking up from hibernation, but the new animals that woke up didn't realize they're in this little new section of a forest because while they were hibernating, they lucked out, and there's human development all around them. Of course, like, incredibly unrealistic, and that's what I kind of found funny about the movie, but like, as if they could build all of those homes in one hibernation cycle, right? But it's like endless housing, like, until the end of time, so they can't get the food that they typically need to store the log, and that's pretty well like all they live for. They need to stack the log as high as it can go. They need to fill it completely because they almost ran out of food during hibernation season. RJ comes in, introduces himself, and he's like, "Hey, I know all about these humans." And I like that it was a raccoon, by the way, because the raccoon would know something about that, right? He introduces himself and just is acting like he's helping everybody. He's like, "Yep, I'm over here. All we need to do is just scavenge those humans." They throw out their trash, which, to be honest with you, in a normal, not normal, I don't want to say, but like in a just world, it would be nice if we could just leave some trash in the driveway for some raccoons to go through. But of course, you bring the destruction, you bring the diseases. I wish we could do something like that, but they're like, "Hey, humans just don't use it. They leave it in the trash, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. So this is for us." And I actually don't know if RJ actually thought that or not. I know that he assumed that the humans, or he knew that the humans didn't like them, but I didn't know if he actually knew what the humans did with the food. A little bit unclear, but regardless, he just completely confuses all of these poor little animals, tricks them into following him, talks about being a cool guy, and nobody knowing his true intentions, where he just wants to take all of their food and deliver it to a hungry bear. But then, like I said, the movie moves a little bit quickly because we have the scene where Vern, the main turtle character, he goes in and just experiences these horrible things where he almost died a few times and it just doesn't know what the statues are because the statue's a turtle and things are falling on him. There's chains around, and I think what I liked about the movie is they did a really good job showing how scary everything could be because they're used to a forest, and then all of this, there's a frozen giant turtle over there. There's an angry cat. These things can just fall. What am I stepping on? That actually must be what it's like for the animals. Of course, they can't think to the point where the movie made them think, but their instincts would be there and they would be confused for the most part, right? RJ then ends up taking everybody back over and just not causing any chaos. They take some food. They get addicted to Cheetos. It's all happy, fun, and games until they run into the main lady. And this is my favorite part of the movie because the main lady is, while she's horrible, while she wants to torture the animals, right? She is horrible, but she is kind of the victim of the movie because all of these rodents are coming in and just spreading disease across all of her stuff, stealing all of her food. Imagine how much that would cost. The movie kind of played her up to be a little bit rich, but you get the point. I felt bad for her no matter what, but then she wanted to electrocute and torture all of these things, and then I was like, okay, I don't really feel bad. It was just funny how unrealistic it was and how they portrayed the human character to be. After everything's going well, though, and I don't know how, but Vern kind of figured out that food that they were stealing, the Cheetos and everything, wasn't exactly good for them. And it's funny, too, looking back, because this is a 2006 movie, right? And it's weird looking back on this as an adult because RJ's talking about things like, "Oh, good old SMG, it's the best thing for you," right? And it's it's just interesting looking at this from a different perspective, right? I'm looking at this from an adult perspective. I'm looking at this from a homeowner perspective. I'm looking at this as somebody who worries about like their daughter getting any diseases by touching things, right? It's just funny, the little bit of a switch that you see in there. But regardless, after some time, Vern ends up wanting to return all of the stolen food because it is the right thing to do. It is stealing. The food's not good for them. Fights with RJ a little bit, and it leads to the Rottweiler ending up destroying all of the food. And again, just being incredibly unrealistic because the wagon then gets some fireworks, there's some wings, they fly up in the sky, and the wagon just falls down, creates a literal explosion on this lady's house. And I don't know, obviously I don't know whose voice it is, but just the lady and the way she screamed, it was funny. And I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. This has been memed since 2006. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it's something like, that is why I called the exterminator. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that clip, but I'm like, I forgot that was from Over the Hedge. Oh my god. So she hired an exterminator. He's setting up all of these traps for all the animals. It's now even more dangerous than ever to go into the backyard. They have no food. Vern destroyed it all, and everybody is siding with RJ because Vern ended up calling them all stupid for being taken advantage of by RJ. But now again, as I was saying, the movie moves really, really fast because they make up. Everything's all good. RJ almost admits to Vern the scumbag that he truly is, but he says like his plans for the bear or whatever he was talking about, like, oh yeah, that's just my checklist. That's the stuff that we're missing. And Vern was like, oh yeah, you're a careful rodent, aren't you? Or whatever he said, right? So they all make up. Everybody forgives Vern. They go to steal all of the party food that this poor lady ended up buying. They turn off all of the switches because if you give the squirrel an energy drink, he turns into a superhero. But anyways, they spend all night piling up the wagon. At the end of the night, the human wakes up. The human needs their coffee, and the raccoon knows this. But the problem is he sees a can of chips, a can of chips that the bear Vincent specifically requested. And no matter what, he is getting that. And of course, that led to the human catching them and trying to kill them. The exterminator comes absolutely out of nowhere, captures all of the animals. RJ talks about how he was just using everybody. He doesn't care about them, but he secretly ended up caring about them. He never had a family, and everybody was like all happy, yay. But he ended up actually being the bad guy, running away with the wagon, and all of the animals got caught. And oh, that's where the clip was. That's where the meme was, where she was talking to the exterminator. She's like, I want them exterminated. I hope I'm going to look so stupid if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But either way, this is the point where we move on to the climax of the movie, and it's a truck scene because he delivers all of the food over to Vincent. Vincent talks about how he's such a scumbag, and the raccoon decides not to be a scumbag anymore. He pushes the wagon all the way down the hill into the transport truck that is taking all of the animals to... I don't know if they were actually being exterminated or not, but I guess, like, he was an exterminator. I don't know. Regardless, it appeared like they were all going to be killed. RJ saved the day. They're in a scene chasing the bear. Everybody asks for their forgiveness. Vern vouches for RJ. Everybody's happy. They have some funny moments with the kids actually driving the car, telling people to shut up. But there's not a ton to break down there until they actually get back into the backyard. The truck going through this poor lady's house again. And it's funny because she's framed like she is the worst person on earth, which she kind of is because she wants to torture these animals. If she didn't want to torture the animals, if she didn't want them, and she said that too, something along the lines of, in the most inhumane way possible. Now I don't care about her suffering, right? But if she said anything other along the lines of like, just put them in a forest somewhere else, just away from my hedge, right? If it was anything along those lines, then she'd be the ultimate victim. But the truck ends up going because the dude's knocked out and the animals are driving right through her house. They end up fighting in between the hedge with the exterminator, the main girl, and the bear on the other side. They end up crashing through, and in the meantime, you give the energy drink to the squirrel again, and all of a sudden he becomes like Quicksilver. I did not know that was a thing that was done before the superhero movies back in 2016-ish, somewhere around there. No, it was done in 2006 because the squirrel's walking through all slow motion because he's moving fast and showing it from his perspective, dancing around, turning on the machine. They all get captured, right? But in the movie kind of concludes pretty quickly again, where the lady is arrested for having that illegal exterminator stuff. The exterminator he gets away. Oh, no, he doesn't get away. The cops chase after him, and I don't know what happened to him, but the bear ended up getting shipped to the mountains or something along those lines. At the end of the day, they all head back to the hedge in their new teeny tiny little forest. And because the squirrel had superpowers, he got all of the nuts ready for the next hibernation cycle. Everybody forgave RJ. Everybody forgave Vern. They are one big happy family living forever after. I loved this movie, guys. I loved it. It was a phenomenal trip down memory lane, and I forgot everything about it because, again, this is an '06 movie. I still remember all of the trailers, the kids being excited for it, man. I was a 1997 kid, and we were, sometime in grade school, but I remember, like, this movie was the hype on release. Like, there were trailers everywhere. I completely forgot about it. I was scrolling through Netflix with my wife or whatever app we were talking about. My wife was like, "Oh my God, do you remember Over the Hedge?" I'm like, "I do remember Over the Hedge. What?" And then it was the movie. Like, I mean, it was a good movie, but if I were to watch it now, I wouldn't have been like going crazy about it. But the problem is, it was a part of my childhood that got unlocked that I completely forgot about. You know what's crazy talking about that too is I have been recently doing the same thing with my sister. We've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and we've been watching Sonic X. I've never quite literally taken like trips down my childhood memory lane like as close to that. And the reason we started watching Sonic was because of the new Sonic movie that was out. And then we were trying to get my daughter to like Sonic. But the problem is she can't understand something like that. She's less than a year old. She can't understand something like a structured Sonic story. So we wanted to see if she would laugh at it, and then she didn't. And then we've just been watching it. So it's been really fun. So honestly, expect a review for all of that. But you know what also inspired for a video is ranking every single Sonic X character. You should check out that video right here if you grew up watching Sonic. I would love to have you guys over there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.